getting to watch The Holly. And she says she swears she's not just saying that because Terrence is here. Like, that is not just for show. She found that out after, but that was her favorite part, which actually I totally subscribe to. That was a big part for me too. So please welcome to the stage our birthday girl, Catherine Cypher.
Thank you. Hi, not, please no. Okay, let's fucking do it. Let's do it. Catherine, happy birthday to you. Thank you. What if I was just like, that's all I wanted, I'm gonna get off stage now. Yeah, it is my birthday, so you guys, if you don't like the story, just pretend, right? That's all I want for the birthday gift. This is a story about me coming out to my little sister. And I was 27 at the time that this story happened, and I had recently come out to myself. I'm 34 now, as of, again, today, in case you've forgotten it is my birthday. 27 for a lot of people would consider 27 late to come out, especially they look at me and they're like, Kevin, how did you not know you were gay? And it's like, first of all, I didn't always look like this. I used to carry these keys in a purse, believe it or not. Oh, you guys are so fun. This is gonna be great. So, the other thing though is that, like, really, the two favorite pastimes I've found in my experience with straight women is to talk about their girl crushes and to talk about how disappointed they are with the sex that they're having with men. And for like most of my adult life, I was just like, yeah, same. So because of all of this, I eventually came to my senses, and at 27, found myself kind of like starting to come into my identity and my sexuality. And weirdly enough, this coming out story of mine actually begins at a wedding, not mine. My cousin Kelly was going to be getting married that summer, and my whole family was all like pretty hype. She was the first cousin who was getting married. All of us, we have a bunch of cousins, big family. We're all of like legal drinking age. We're pretty stoked to party, right? So the invitations start going out, and I start hearing about this like nasty rumor that's going around about this wedding. Like Kelly and her fiance are gonna do something like really atrocious, like really horrible, really mean, unethical even. They were gonna have a cash bar. Yeah, boo. Yeah, boo. At a family function. That's very rude. And I also recognize that this wedding was not going to be a family function for everyone there, but the story is about me. So both the reason why this cash bar was going to be an issue and the reason why I was so nervous about coming out to my family, at this point I had come out to like a friend of mine, pretty like low stakes friend, don't tell her I said that. And I hadn't come out to anyone in my family. I hadn't really come out to anyone super close to me. So both the reason why this cash bar was going to be an issue and the reason why I was worried about coming out to my family could be summed up with two words that sort of describe my family. Irish. Catholic. You know, this corner's with me. This sort of, for those of you who are like fortunate enough to not really know about the Irish Catholic dynamic, the vibe is sort of like feelings are discouraged. Just like as a concept, like as a global sort of concept, which is like, you don't have feelings, and if you do, no you don't. Right? I think that one of the reasons why Irish Catholics love drinking so much is because the alcohol like makes the feelings kind of go away, right? They forget about them. Or it makes them bubble up. But the thing is if the feelings like bubble up, if you're drunk, you have like a built-in, very convenient reason to deny the whole thing the next morning, which is like an Irish Catholic like thing. That never happened. Someone was crying last night? I don't know what you're talking about. That whiskey was good. Right? The obvious exception to this rule about feelings is, everybody say it with me, guilt, right? Yes. Yes, we love guilt. Irish Catholics love guilt. You must be feeling it all the time, and you should be feeling it very intensely. And if you don't feel any guilt, you sinner. You should feel very guilty about not feeling any guilt. So, back to the cash bar. We're at this wedding, we all show up, even though we've been bitching about the bar situation. I go up at the reception, go up to the bar, order a whiskey, try to pay for it. The bartender's like, you don't need that. The cocktail hour is free, it's open bar. Cocktail hour meaning like that first hour where the bride and groom are taking pictures and whatever, and there's no music happening, it's just like everyone eating past hors d'oeuvres or whatever. So I'm like, oh my God, we have open bar for an hour. This is like a miracle. This is like Moses parting the Red Sea. This is like Jesus rising from the dead. And so I start telling everyone, and this whips through my family like nothing else. And before, without talking to anyone really, without talking about the plan, we all sort of adopt this same strategy. Aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, parents, we all get in line for the bar, get to the bar, you order 2 drinks. You go to the end of the line, you drink your 2 drinks, and you get to the front, because this problem of the cash bar can now be solved with 1 hour of binge drinking. Which is, I mean, really, it's like an Irish Catholic's like best, it's like our dreams come true. Meanwhile, by the way, my cousin is marrying a Massachusetts state trooper. And they had a very old school, like, brides, people on this side, grooms, people on this side. So we're all like this, my family's all in this, like, this sort of, like, feedback loop of, like, thinly veiled alcoholic behavior, right? And then on the other side, there's a bunch of dudes with, like, high and tight haircuts and, like, Oakley sunglasses at night indoors, just, like, pissed and judging us. Only God can judge us, am I right? So, safe to say, right, by the end of this hour, we're all pretty, like, messy, right? The reception hasn't even really started yet. The people who fucking got married aren't even there. And I'm like, all right, I'm pretty drunk, but, like, once I sit down at the table and I have, like, food in me, I get dinner, like, I'm gonna be good, which is, like, a very unique mid-20s way of thinking, right? It's, like, not how alcohol consumption works. You're like, yeah, I just gotta eat, this will be fine. So... Some of you are in your mid-20s and you're like, what? That's not... So you'll learn, it's okay. So I'm sitting, my little sister is 21 at the time. Her name is Courtney, and she and I are seated at the singles table, which is just like, if you've ever been to a wedding as a single, you know that it is either extremely fun or like the biggest losers on the planet at that table, right? This was the latter, with the exception of me, obviously, and my sister. And so she and I were kind of like, all right, like, we are usually kind of like party buddies at weddings, but we're like, really need to like shore up. We need to be like hip to hip. We need to like make this fun. Okay, so we're sitting there and it's like, okay, dinner's coming out. And the server comes out, puts some weird, like, you know, fucking wedding chicken or whatever on the table. It's like gray. Here's the thing, if you're having a wedding and you think your food is gonna be really good, it's just like, it's gonna be wedding food, and I'm really sorry about that. It just is. So the server comes up, he puts the food down, and he goes, red or white? And I was like, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but my brain went, oh no, and hell yes, at the same time, right? And I was like, what? And he's like, well, each table gets like 4 bottles of wine for dinner. And I was like, well, red, fine, whatever. So he pours me red wine, and my sister's like, we gotta party. So she's like, let's play the 5-second game. You've probably never heard of the 5-second game because Courtney made it up. The rules are as follows: you drink for 5 seconds. That's it, that's the whole game. And you know the 5 seconds are up because Courtney stands there while you're both chugging like this. And the 5-second count is her count. It could be 20 seconds, it doesn't matter. This game is unbelievably popular with like 95-year-old grandmas at weddings. It's insane. She can get anyone to do it. So we played the 5-second game with red wine after I've had like 37 whiskeys. Dinner's over, and I'm like, okay, Catherine, it's time to drink waters for the rest of the night because now the alcohol costs something. And my brother comes up to me and he's like, can I buy you a drink? And I was like, sure. If the alcohol doesn't cost something, I'll drink it. So we go up to the bar, order 2 whiskeys. The bartender, he gives the bartender $20 and the bartender says, you don't need that. Yeah. And I looked at him and I was like, what? And he was like, what? And we were like, what? And the bartender was like, yeah, it's an open bar. And I was like, I'm sorry. My entire family has heroically prepared for an hour for this to be a cash bar. And you're telling me that was all for nothing? And he was like, please go away. Probably, I don't know, I don't remember. But so I actually had that moment. I had the oh no and the hell yes. But at this point, the hell yes is just so much louder, right? So it wins out. And this is the point in the night, you guys, where it just descended into absolute chaos. Just like across, I think even the state troopers were having a good time. Honestly, I don't remember. But I remember these like snippets of just chaos. The DJ, who for some unknown reason had like 7 fog machines, went way overboard with them. Way overboard. You couldn't see shit. And then the fire alarm went off because of the fog machines, and the fire department came. We had to leave the wedding. We all had to, and I know I was like, we were all like, well, it's so fun. And it's like, that's not okay. And he should be fired probably. We finally get like let back into the wedding, and my mom brings my grandfather out on the dance floor. And he's since passed, but he was in a wheelchair at the time. He was about 90 years old, I think. She brings him out on the dance floor, and she's like, you know, dancing with him in a wheelchair, swinging him back and forth a little bit, the way that you should, like an elderly man in a wheelchair. I run up to her, fucking like body check her out of the way, like I'm trying out for the New York Rangers, and I grab the wheelchair and just start, like a tornado, over and over and over and over. She comes up to me and she very aggressively grabs me, which was warranted. Was very warranted because she needed to step in. She said, Catherine, he cannot handle that. And I was like, well. But thank God she did, because the man was a B-24 pilot in World War II, and being spun around by his drunken granddaughter at a wedding would have been a horrible way for him to go. Horrible. He died doing what he loved, just kidding. So the rest of the night is honestly very blurry to me until I arrive, after the wedding is over, at my aunt's house. My sister and I, we were in Massachusetts, we were staying at my aunt's house. I don't know how we got back there. I didn't drive, don't worry. We're at my aunt's house, we're sleeping in the bed in the basement. And I lay down in the bed and I'm like, Courtney, I don't feel very good. I was like, I'm gonna be sick. And she's like, okay. Again, sister's 21, I'm 27. She's fully taking care of me, even though she's also drunk. So she's like, okay, come on. Go across the hallway to the bathroom. And I go in the bathroom and I like sit down next to the toilet. Put my head in the toilet bowl. She like sits, she's also pretty drunk. She like sits on the floor next to me. And I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. And I'm like, it's just kind of like rising within me, right? Like everything in from the night. I'm just like, there was like way too much alcohol, and this was like so overwhelming, and it's coming, and I can't do anything about it, and I can't stop it, and it's coming up, and it's coming up, and it's coming up, and try to push it down, but it's not happening, and it's not working, and right before I puke into the toilet bowl, I look at Courtney and I say, Courtney, I'm gay. And she looks at me with these wide eyes, like I had just projectile vomited on her. And I look at her with these wide eyes, like I had just projectile vomited on her. This was not in my plan. And then after a beat, she starts to cry. And I knew immediately that they were tears of love and tears of joy. And I remember this so vividly, even though I was truly blackout drunk. I just immediately felt this like massive weight lift off of my shoulders. Because the thing about being a queer person, about being a gay person, is that like you never stop coming out. You have to do it over and over and over and over. Because we assume heterosexuality, right, in this world. It's exhausting. And in that moment with her, I said, I'm gonna start doing this. I am going to go to the other side with this. And what I didn't realize then, I didn't quite understand the gravity of this then, that I do now, is that once you have that one person on your side, once you have that one person who you know is going to walk in lockstep with you for the rest of this journey, it makes it that much less daunting. And the other thing that happened in that moment was that my sister and I, who had always been pretty close, always had a good time together, that was the start of us becoming best friends. She's my best friend. She is an incredible ally. She has learned so much about the queer community, not just me, not just lesbians, the whole queer community. She stands up for us constantly. She asks questions. She's not afraid to be wrong. She's not afraid to learn. And I love her so much for it. And what I want for all of you to take away from this story, if you take away anything, is two things. One, if you have someone who needs support, if you had someone who you think you need to show up for, show up. Show up. And tell them that you're showing up over and over and over. It does not get old to hear that someone's showing up for you. And the other thing I want you to take away from this is that cash bars are bullshit. Thanks very much.
Give it up for Catherine. On her birthday, she stayed sober enough to tell you that story on her birthday.